Hi, my name is Faith and welcome to my channel. Today's video is all about financial competence. I'm a strong believer that knowledge of key financial concepts and the implementation of those can greatly impact someone's financial health more so than their income. Before you can delve into financial planning, the numbers and calculations, it's very important to have your motivation set in place. This way you know what you're striving for and you're more likely to stay the course to achieve and sustain that progress. It's like a new diet. If you jump in for the wrong reasons, for the way you look, for the way other people look at you, you're going to end up burnt out and the results just won't show. Your why identifies the importance of why you're going through what you are. I think a factor of financial health that is vastly overlooked until it's too late is an individual's credit score. Your credit score is essentially your grade. It represents your credit worthiness as an individual and your likelihood to pay back debts. It affects the mortgage rates and interest rates that you get when applying for loans. There are 5 factors that affect your credit score. One is getting new credit. So this has a 10% effect on your credit score. So when you sign up for a new credit card, you take out a new car loan, you buy a house, all those things ding your credit and can essentially make your credit go down. The second thing is the types of credit you have. So diversifying the credit types that you have. So again, a credit card, a car loan, a mortgage, a student loan. The third thing is the length of your credit. So when you're first 18, you are likely introduced to getting a credit card for the first time. And what you want to do is not close that credit card even if you get a new one, because having your credit open for a longer period of time positively reflects on your credit score, and it has a 15% impact on your overall credit. Number 4 is your credit utilization. So this is the amount of credit that you use, for example, on your credit card. It is advised that you use less than 30% of the credit awarded to you. So for example, if you have $1,000 limit on your credit card on a monthly basis, to not go over the $300 mark, because it shows that you're not necessarily dependent on using all this money that isn't yours. And the 5th and final factor that affects your overall credit score is your payment history. It has a 35% impact on your credit score. So paying off your card on time, paying it off in full, has a tremendous impact on your credit score. And if you're not doing that now, it's a very straightforward way and something you can start doing now that will positively impact that score. I just got a booking. Other than your credit score, a key thing to know is about investment accounts. And I'm just going to speak on one today just because that's the one that's most relevant to me and I think is most beneficial to other people who are first starting out. And that, as a Canadian, is a TFSA. This stands for a tax-free savings account. This account, starting at the age of 18, you may begin to contribute post-tax income, which is gross income minus the taxes that you've paid, which are usually taken out by your employer on your paycheck, and are given a yearly contribution limit currently of $6,000 a year. It is referred to as a tax sheltered account because any capital gain you make within this account, any earnings on your investments, will not be taxed while it sits in the account, nor when it gets withdrawn. This account also has accumulating contribution room. The amount you have gets rolled over to the following year. Any amount you withdraw resets your limit. That way, the following year, you can recontribute the amount that you have withdrawn. This flexibility makes this account ideal for medium-term goals because it allows you to take it out without any consequences. But again, it is an investment account, so you don't want to be putting money in there that is for the short term, so under 5 years. To check where you stand on your contribution room currently, you can create or log in to your CRA account, your Canada Revenue Agency account, and it will show your limit as of your last tax return. It's important to keep track though throughout the year because obviously it won't change alongside until the end of the year, and you don't want to incur additional penalties for going over the limit. Now, just to speak on milestones that you do want to hit when thinking about your financial health. The first being debt repayment. There are two schools of thought that are prominent when discussing the proper way to eliminate your debt. The first being the debt snowball. This method stems from a psychological standpoint, following a strategy that promotes short-term wins and fosters a longevity mindset. With the debt snowball, you arrange your debts from the smallest amount to the largest amount, and you tackle them in that order. That way, you get to your wins faster, and that builds momentum for you to sustain that progress. The second school of thought is the debt avalanche method. This method follows a mathematical standpoint. It follows the strategy that results in the least amount spent towards your debt. This fosters the need to save money and reduces time spent paying off loans. So with the debt avalanche method, you're going to arrange your debt's highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. In doing so, you're going to end up paying less interest on your debts and are going to get through them quicker. In both instances, you pay the minimum. With both methods, you pay the minimum on all your debts, which are required, which will affect your credit score. And as you eliminate one debt to the next, extra money that you were putting towards the first debt that you were attacking, you're going to move it over to the second, and so on and so forth, increasing the amount that you're putting on each debt as you pay them off. Now, the next financial milestone that you want to hit when you're first starting out is building an emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund, what is it? This fund can start with a goal as small as $500 to $1,000. It's simply used as a buffer to ensure that you're not overextended on your budget. It's traditionally suggested that you keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in your emergency fund. This is just so that the amount of money you have in your bank account is never hitting zero. Where to keep your emergency fund? This lump sum should generally be kept separate from your checking account to avoid unnecessarily temptations of utilizing it for daily expenses. The fund should be liquid, meaning easily accessible, so it shouldn't be put into that tfsa as an investment. It is important to maintain the total amount, which is why it's not recommended that this money be invested, because it is possible for you to lose money when you invest it, and that's the last thing you want in the middle of an emergency. Instead, the sum should be kept in a high yield savings account, preferably one with 2 to 3% interest rate. Obviously, that's a little difficult to come by right now, but in normal circumstances, a 2 to 3% interest rate will account for inflation and will ensure that you're not losing so much money to inflation while this amount is sitting there for your protection. Why do you want an emergency fund? The purpose of an emergency fund is to ensure that when expenses come up without warning, they do not leave you vulnerable or push you off track for your future goals. This account may cover you in the event of loss of income, emergency medical expenses, or delayed payment if you're self-employed, and will do so while not compromising your ability to pay for your own fixed expenses. Now, none of this is a judgment on where you are on your personal finance journey. It's just a matter of looking at your financial health and gauging where you are. Taking charge of one's finances is not punishment disguised as personal development, but allows you to access new opportunities which will further prepare you for when it's time for the next stage in your financial life. These are practical methods to evaluate your financial health, knowledge to execute the decisions confidently, and create plans to focus on relevant and attainable goals. By implementing any one or all of these foundational habits, you are able to open yourself up to accomplish financial competence. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.